Hello again, this is BGFH. Welcome back to Illegally Cited, and I am back for yet another E3 press conference video. This time we're going through all of Monday's press briefings. Yesterday I uploaded a video that talked a little bit about the Nintendo World Championship and then Bethesda's first ever E3 show, which you can find that on the channel. Pretty good start to E3, I think. Really good start, actually. And this time we're not playing Doom. This time I'm just kind of casually playing a little bit of some classic Left 4 Dead 2, the No Mercy campaign, the first campaign from the original Left 4 Dead. And we're just going to kind of casually get going here. Again, so you have something actually to watch while I babble on about my thoughts so far about today's E3 press briefings and such. So, I will say right now, as I'm recording this part of the video, I have only watched the first three. I've watched Microsoft, EA, and then Ubisoft. And Sony's is coming up here in a little while, but I figured there's already so much to try to cover that I started to, I'm going to cheat this time and use my phone because I've kind of written down just like, you know, a list of games that were covered at each of the conferences so far. And then I will just, once the Sony conference has taken place, later this evening, I will probably just jump into another start of a quick campaign here and then append that to the video and upload it everything later tonight. So trying to get these to you in a timely fashion. E3, you know, being a pretty hot thing for games right now. So yeah, we start the day with Microsoft. And they, you know, I think overall they had a pretty good showing. They started off by showing a little bit of Halo 5. You know, keep in mind this is not Bungie anymore. They no longer make those games. They've moved on to Destiny. So now we have 3 Studios, I believe they're called. And they made Halo 4, and they did the Master Chief Collection, which when I get... I don't know, I'll talk about this as we go, but I mean, I'm actually kind of tempted to get an Xbox One. And I'll kind of tell you why at the end of the Xbox section. But, so, Halo 5 actually looked pretty good. They did a little bit of a gameplay demo. They showed a trailer, they did a little bit of a gameplay demo. And, you know, overall, I thought it was pretty decent. Not too long, so you really didn't get too much of an idea. They showed some single player, they did show a little bit of the multiplayer, but, you know, it was pretty much what I expected. It seems to be a really good-looking game. I guess you're playing as supposedly... I'm not sure exactly what the full story is, but Master Chief has gone AWOL, and then you're going to play as multiple characters, so like they're trying to figure out what in fact Master Chief is doing. Did he really become a traitor, or what is going on with all that business? So that was Halo 5. Like I said, it was a pretty good showing there. They also, I'm going to skip around a little bit here just because of how I have the games listed here, but they did have Gears of War. They ended the conference with that as kind of their finale, and I thought it looked pretty good. I mean, basically it was this kind of cooperative thing where, I'm guessing you'll be able to play, you know, your traditional 2-player co-op with that, but it was, you play this guy, and you had another character. She followed along with you, and I mean, it was decent. A lot of people complained that it was really dark, and that it kind of was. It was a little bit hard to see in some places just because everything was so dark, took place at night. But, you know, I really liked Gears of War 1. I like Gears of War 2. You know, I don't think I ever got around to playing Gears of War 3. I own it. It was just one of those that, like, around that time, I wasn't as into Gears of War as I used to be, and I kind of quit playing my Xbox. You know, I think that was a time where I kind of moved over to my PS3 after they announced The Last of Us and things like that, where I really kind of got excited to some of those games and then to catch up there. From that point on, I mean, I used my Xbox 360 a little bit. Oh shit! That was a witch. Hey, yeah, how you doing? Oh, sorry!
You look like shit.
Alright, bad gameplay aside here. So yeah, I mean, Gears of War, it was definitely kind of an interesting game. They are doing a remastered version of the original Gears of War. I was kind of hoping that they would have done a Gears of War 1 through 3, or just all of them, add Judgment in there too. I didn't even play or buy Judgment, so I haven't even played that. But yeah, I mean, I wish that those would have come to PC, you know? I would love to play. The original Gears of War did come to PC in some fashion. I should try to see if I can find that. I wonder how that would play these days. I'm hoping that it would at least support the Xbox 360 or Xbox One controller. Oh, hey, Charger. So, you have the Gears of War remake. You have Gears of War 4, I think they technically called it. So they're just kind of, I don't know if Judgment is like a side story, I guess, and now we're starting a whole new kind of story or trilogy or timeline, whatever. So that was interesting. They did Forza, of course. Forza 6 was what we're up to now. I did play Forza 3 on the 360. I really did like that. One thing that I like, well, a couple things that I like that Forza does is they kind of started doing this like replay system. So if you suck at driving games like I generally do, especially more realistic driving games, you can kind of get yourself out of, you know, it's like, oh, I did great for these first 2 laps, but then the final lap, I just completely biffed it, and now I'm going to lose, and I'm going to have to start all over. You know, they implemented this replay system, or rewind system, and they also put in like driving assist. So, you know, everyone they knew that, you know, not everyone was going to be a master at, you know, simulation racing. So, and other games have since copied. I think I haven't really played any recently, but Gran Turismo I think copied some of that. So has some of the other simulation driver or racing games. But they do, you know, you can turn on and off different levels of assist, so as you get better at the game, you know, you can try to wean yourself off, and you're going to get more rewards and more money and things like that as you go, so they did that. They didn't show a lot of Forza. They did show this new Ford car for the Le Mans race that they're doing this year. Pretty sweet looking car, actually, and they showed that both actually on the stage and then in the game, so the real thing, and the Forza version of it. And then they just showed, you know, a little bit of cockpit view. I mean, there really wasn't, they didn't show a race or anything. It was just like, here's kind of a trailer, here's some gameplay footage, sort of, a lot of replay stuff, you know, from the replay cameras, but they did show that. Let me pause it here a minute. Okay, and they did cover Fallout 4 a little bit. I'm not going to talk a lot about that because they talked quite a bit about that since they closed the show. I was kind of surprised to see them show it at the Xbox conference, but they did start it out differently. Or they started out similarly to how they did the other one. Like, oh man, are they going to just keep building Sound of 4? That would kind of suck. But, no, they did it a little bit. They showed some of the beginning stuff. They really abbreviated it. And then they showed a little bit more of the combat, which is kind of cool. would you like to play that one? Oh, really? No, 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 no! God dang it, man! I get up and then what happens? I get spitter group. That's just really fantastic, guys. Thanks.
First aid, you're not gonna
Can you hear me?
Alright,
I don't know if I'm gonna think
so let me heal
Is
up
it bad?
real quick
Yo,
here.
Francis, come on, buddy. Heal up.
I thought I had him.
Thanks.
What the hell? Okay.
I owe you.
Wait up, I'm healing.
So yeah, they showed a little bit of Fallout 4. That is still coming later this year. If you didn't watch my video from last night, I would definitely recommend doing so. But
I'll take the shotgun.
we do get to play that.
Bunch
and
of guns over here.
The only thing that really concerns me about Fallout 4 at this point is how in the heck I'm gonna find enough time to devote to that game. Because see, I love these open world and like big games. Like I still have barely gotten into The Witcher. The game is huge. And I don't know how I'm really going to get a chance to play everything because, you know, I do a lot of stuff. I work a full-time job. You know, I do this YouTube stuff. I like to do that. Try to, you know, go out and do other things. But time issues aside, really looking forward to Fallout 4. Definitely going to be pre-ordering it. I'm holding off for now because I want to see if there's... I know there's the digital or the deluxe edition or whatever that has Pip-Boy, which I'm not going to get. I mean, you can still use the app without the little plastic or whatever it is casing that you can get. So, no, I'm not going to waste money on that collectible. I mean, it sounds kind of cool, but odds are, except for like a novelty thing, am I ever going to use it? Probably not. So that's Fallout. Recore. This was sort of this one was a brand new announcement. That came out of nowhere. And they really did, again, there was some stuff, a lot of the new stuff, they really didn't show a heck of a lot of gameplay. They really didn't show a lot of gameplay. It was just kind of like a conceptual, like, here's the art, here's some of the characters of the game. Seems to be kind of like an, not an open world, but a, you know, kind of exploration, character action game of some sort. Not entirely sure what to make of it, but yeah, I mean, graphically it looked good. No complaints there. I mean, I thought the characters in it looked... Oh, sorry. I thought those were pretty decent. So that was... like I said, there's not much I can really say, other than, hey, we get a new property. Gigantic is another one that, again, they just showed a little bit of. Really don't know much about what the game is going to be, but it's new. I would just say watch the trailer for that kind of game. Again, you know, it looked interesting, but I really can't comment until I actually see more gameplay. Tacoma. This was, if you watched earlier on the channel, I did a video for Gone Home. And this is actually a different game from that developer. I believe it's the Fulbright company. And they did a game, or they're doing one where it's basically, you know, Gone Home was meant to kind of evoke this, like, oh, okay, you know, you've come back home from, you know, a place to a place that you really are familiar with, or to a new home, but something you could relate to. This is more like you're in space, I guess, and
ammo here.
There seems to be like this computer AI or ship AI. I don't know if you're on a ship or a space station or what you're on, but I don't know. I mean, it looks really interesting. I don't know if there's going to be like horror elements to it, or if it's going to be, oh Jesus, if it's going to be more like Gone Home, where, oh, everybody, is there going to be I doubt there's going to be combat, but I don't know, like, if, you know, it's mainly going to be exploration, or what it will actually be. But, you know what, I'm looking forward to it. They showed a lot of other indie games too, some of which are already out on PC.
You should see the
they announced early access.
Thanks.
or I forget what they call it. They called it something differently, but essentially what Steam does now, their whole early access spiel, they're doing that, which is I could see going either way. Like in some ways, I think that it could be really nice. But for a console market, you know, PC gamers are a little bit more used to futzing with their systems. You know, if there is a problem, you know, generally PC gamers might be a little more apt to be able to figure it out a little bit better and deal with some of that. Whereas I think what they probably want to do if they were Microsoft, they probably want to enforce like at least a very, I mean, I think Steam technically really should too, because there's some pretty shoddy stuff out there. But they really need to enforce some kind of like a base level of like, no, your game has to be in at least working order. You know, yes, you can have features missing and that, but the game can't be just pretty much broken or just super janky as hell. You know, you can't use because it's just, I mean, although the cynical person in me says, well, although, you know, because I was going to say that the console gamers aren't really going to put up with that as much. Although, this, like I said, the cynical part of me says, well, technically, haven't the console gamers been putting up with that for like the last 2.5 years now? I mean, AAA developers are just releasing some complete buggy garbage on their systems right now. I mean, I mentioned the Halo Master Chief Collection earlier. That game, for the longest time, was just flat out busted. Like, you couldn't play online. People were complaining. Like, even some of the, I think even some of the single-player stuff was messed up. You know, how do you release such a high-profile game in that state? I mean, I'm not going to go back and reiterate all this, but I mean, there's just been so many AAA games that have just been in really not good states of release over the last couple of years, and I don't know if that's going to improve or not. It pretty much has to. We're going to hit a breaking point here pretty soon, and that's why I think that's where some of this early access type stuff really concerns me. You know, it started out on PC, okay, consoles, is that just going to be an excuse to be like, hey, we're just going to release some, we're going to, you know, shove out some games that are not actually
let's get you on your feet and back to work.
Ready, and we're going to make you pay for them anyway, and just basically make a way for publishers to get their stuff out there sooner, you know, as far as, like, quality be damned. I hope that's not what it turns into, and oh my god, no, not a witch. You know what? You piss him off, because I am... Yeah, you can make the witch mad, because I'm not. I'm already hurt really freaking bad right now. So I'm going to heal. The other announcement that I actually really kind of like is they did announce they finally decided to implement backward compatibility for Xbox 360 games on the Xbox One for later this year. Now, it's not going to be like, oh, hey, cool, everything is going to be automatically... It's not going to be, hey, everything is automatically working. No. I think it's going to be more like the Xbox 360 was backwards compatible with Xbox games. They said they're starting out with 100 titles, and they're going to be adding a lot more as time goes on. So, of course, all your major titles are more than likely going to work. You know, some of these little hidden gems, though, I'm really wondering about what the compatibility is going to be like for some of that stuff. But, you know, the Xbox One is actually really starting to make me, especially with some of the deals that they've been doing, it's really kind of making me consider getting one eventually, because there's plenty of games out there now that I really kind of want to play. I wouldn't mind having the Master Chief Collection. Oh, what was that other game last year? I can't even remember. It's like a cool open world action-y, like, action game. If I think of it later, I'll tell you, but yeah. They still haven't even talked about. They're saving some of their games for later. Crackdown, if it's half as good as the first game. The second game sucked, but the first game was super, super addictive. I talked about that in my Saints Row video. Just the whole aspect of like collecting all these orbs and stuff and loving all the powers and being able to pick up cars and just punch people off buildings and leap 14 stories high. All that stuff is just really fun. So those kind of things. Going back to the conference here, let me pull up my handy dandy phone here in a minute again. Let me just look around here a little bit. Okay.
Get on the left!
Yeah, let me do a quick pause here. Like I said, I had to write things down because I was having hard enough trouble yesterday trying to remember everything. So today, it's like, oh my god, even worse. Cuphead. This is a weird kind of a platformer game that they announced a year or two ago. And it's supposed to it's supposed to have this whole presentation style of like a 1930s cartoon. That could be interesting. The art style and what they're trying to go for with the presentation is definitely unique, and I completely appreciate that. Then Rare. Yes, Rare is not just doing stupid Kinect stuff or Avatar stuff. They're actually maybe releasing games again. Hot diggity. Matter of fact, the whole Kinect stuff, the Kinect terminology was not even mentioned once during the press briefing. So I think Microsoft, they pretty much realized that, yeah, even the new version, this thing's kind of, no, people just don't care. I don't think they announced any Kinect games. I know they didn't say the word Kinect a single time from what I remember in their podcast, so there you go. But Rare, so they got a couple of things. I can't remember the name right off the top of my head right now, but they showed a new pirate game that really seems pretty kind of cool. It seems like you can do ship battles, you can jump from ship to ship, or walk the plank over from ship to ship, explore islands probably. Again, it was really conceptual. They showed some theoretical kind of gameplay, especially like the ship-to-ship combat stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It could be kind of cool. See how that turns out. But honestly, what really caught my attention is this Rare collection. There's like 30 games in this Rare Replay collection. And I kind of want an Xbox One just for that. There are so many games. I mean, it goes back to their 30-year history. I guess it's their 30th year anniversary for Rare this year. Kids. And they're going back from all the way back to like their early arcade games like Jetpack, RC Pro-Am 1 and 2. Hell yeah. I will show you I will be uploading eventually the rock and roll racing videos, which is kind of like I don't want to say a spiritual successor, but like a game that goes in that kind of style of game. But I remember really liking rock and roll racing, so I will totally be on board for that. You have all the Banjo games, 1, 2, 3, Conker's Bad Fur Day, one of the, oh my god, if I could cover console games, you guys, that game alone is just, I never thought a game like that would be, oh Jesus, would be released, especially on a Nintendo system, Nintendo 64. Conker's Bad Fur Day. Just go look up and make sure it's the Nintendo 64 version. They did a Live and Reloaded remake on the Xbox, which was kind of, they made it prettier, but they censored it more, which was really sucked, and they changed some gameplay things I really didn't like. Just go look up like Conker's Bad Fur Day and Death, or Conker's Bad Fur Day and the Great Mighty Pooh. One of the funniest goddamn things I've ever seen in my life. It's just completely ridiculous.
Watch out!
I'd love to, I mean, there's so much more to talk about, so I can't really linger on too much more and talk about Conqueror as much as I would love to. But just go look up the Conqueror Great Mighty Pooh. It is just absurd. I remember I kept having to show... I played this game in my dorm room when it came out, and I had to keep showing people parts of this game because I would tell them about it, and they literally did not believe me. They're like, no, you're just making stuff up. I'm like, no, this game is just that ridiculous. And there was some jankiness to the controls. There were things I wish they would have done better. But for, you know, what they were going for as far as, like, humor and everything, the game actually was pretty playable. So they have that. What was it? Perfect Dark is in there. Oh, God. Like I said, there's 30 titles in there. I mean, I can't... Jet Force Gemini, there's some Nintendo 64 classics in there. Obviously, they can't have Donkey Kong because of the licensing with Nintendo. I was really kind of secretly hoping, and maybe they'll renegotiate rights to it later, and one can only dream. Yes, they did, EA did, or Activision, or whoever it was, did a GoldenEye sort of spiritual sequel, or spiritual remake a few years ago for the Wii, which was, meh, okay, but,
whoa, nice shot.
Man. Adding GoldenEye to that would have been a really hard thing to resist. And I'm already kind of tempted just to have all those things in one place. Yeah, I'm really, like, if I get a Xbox One, I'm definitely going to be picking up that there game. Rare Replay. Alright, let me do another... I'm sorry I gotta keep pausing here, but I gotta look up all this stuff. What? They did a little bit of Fable Legends, and that was, that's also been in the works. I think that was originally going to be a Kinect game. It doesn't look like it anymore. That's going to be cross-platform on Windows 10 and the Xbox One, which is good.
First aid.
Their whole thing that they showed, they didn't, again, see, the problem that I had with a lot of, especially earlier today, the first, Microsoft wasn't terrible about it, but EA was horrible about this. Showing games, not showing gameplay footage, just showing these, like, conceptual trailers or cutscenes, like, no, I'm not going to watch a movie trailer. I really want to see the game. I want to see some gameplay. You know, not just in engine, but I want to know how this is going to play. Is it first person, third? What kinds of things am I trying to do in this game? But a lot of games today didn't necessarily show that. But Fable Legends, their whole thing was like, oh, you play as the bad guy. Like, they're talking about the heroes, but, oh, this is not their story. You kind of play as the villain or whatever. So, I don't know. That could be kind of neat. May look into that at some point on Windows 10 or something. What else do we got? Dark Souls 3, they did a quick teaser there. I'm not even really going to say anything because I'm so far behind. I haven't even played any of the Dark Souls games yet, even though I have a couple of them. Rise of the Tomb Raider, they did show a nice gameplay demo of that. I have played, but haven't beaten the original remake, Tomb Raider remake that came out a couple years ago.
There's a safe house in the hospital!
But, yeah, it looked pretty good. They did this whole, like, snowstorm thing. They were trying to get up this mountain to get... Oh my god, are you kidding me? Another witch right in the exit again?
You got it.
You guys just make it mad. I'm not gonna.
Witch alone.
Yeah, make her mad, because I'm not doing it. My god. Oh, really? No. Okay. Freaking ridiculous. Unbelievable. Twice in a row. Wow. Okay, distraction.
Lock the frickin' door.
Yeah, I'll get right on that after I heal myself
Wait,
again.
I can do it, man.
Oh wait, I don't need to heal. I'm actually pretty good. Screw it. Let's go.
Hey, this is just getting fun.
So yeah, Rise of the Tomb Raider, it actually looked pretty good. They didn't really show a lot of like puzzle solving stuff. I mean, they did show like an action set piece because that plays better to that kind of an environment, you know, a big old press crowd like that, people watching online. But I remember them saying a few times that they're adding more, like, you know, puzzle solving and exploration. People wanted more of that from the previous game. You know, they said there was not much of that. There was a little bit more combat and stuff like that, but not as much of like actual tomb reading that you get in some of like the classic games of the series. So that is something to look forward to. I don't know. I may look into it. It's probably not one that I'm going to get right away, especially seeing as how I still haven't even finished the first one. But you know, that'll be one of those like Steam sale things. Like, yeah, okay, now I'll eventually probably grab it. I talked about Gears. Okay, Beyond Eyes. This is something I have to talk about. I told you that they had a couple indie developers up there, and they briefly touched on. I think I had heard of this game briefly at some point in the past. Beyond Eyes. Now, this is a game, I guess this lady is developing it, or it's her kind of project, which, you know, it sounds kind of an interesting thing. Now, I guess the way they just spent maybe a total of maybe 15-20 seconds on it. They showed a little bit of footage, and she just talked about how she was inspired by it. Basically, it's a game where you play as a blind girl who's going outside for the first time or something, and is experiencing exploration and things like that. I don't necessarily have a problem with that.
Weapons over here!
In fact, I think it's cool that there's actually a couple games that are trying to, like mainstream games, that are going for blindness as a, you know, for a main character. I think that's great. You know, blind doesn't have to mean stupid, you know? Blind, you know, it can be audio, it can be fun. Running time.
Oh, shit. The witch is getting riled up.
Yeah. Alright, good, we got past her. So, the problem that I have with this game, and there's a Kickstarter project going on, I'm actually in talks with the developers right now, a little bit. I just have a few suggestions and had questions for them. It's called Perception, and definitely go support the project. Back the project. It actually sounds really cool. Perception. That is a Kickstarter project. However, the couple things that these games have in common is, you know, that you are playing as a blind character, but the issue that I have, and that I've heard other people express, because I've seen a few other opinions from people in this community, is that if you're playing as a blind character, that's cool. But the problem is that you are still representing that person's point of view with graphics, with actual visuals. So, you know, they may be like, they're maybe more abstract. They may be kind of like, the Beyond Eyes one, it kind of looked more like, you know, really bright colors and stuff. So it was kind of an interesting looking game.
Weapons over here!
Now, if they would have said, oh, you're playing it, you know, we're maybe going to do some kind of like a simulation or a simulator of your character does not have perfect vision. So this is what it would be like if somebody was maybe nearsighted, or if they had some kind of other visual impairment. Maybe you could do these. Actually, that'd be kind of an interesting thing in itself. But no, these games are saying that you're playing as a blind person. So then one would think that if you are actually a blind person, that you should be able to play the game, because obviously you're playing as a blind character. Well, no, you can't, because again, everything is represented in some sort of abstract visual format or visual form. Which I sort of get. I mean, I appreciate that they are going for that whole sort of, you know, I like that they're going, you know, they're trying something with blind main characters. But that's like saying, I mean, I know not everyone's like, oh, you're going to play an action hero, and you know, It's not accurate because no one knows how to shoot like a whole bunch of guns. You know, that's not the same. But it's like, I'm just trying to think of the right analogy. But it's kind of like saying that, well, if I'm not this type of person, like, or if I'm playing this type of character, I can't play that in the game, which is kind of unfortunate. So I know like I said, I'm kind of in communication with the developers for the Kickstarter game, and you know, I'm hoping that they would like to add accessibility so that yes, a blind person could play it. I mean, that's what the purpose is. So we'll see how that works. But that's just kind of one of those unfortunate things that I'm seeing. I would like to see more improvements. Like, I would like to see more audio games hit the mainstream and say, no, this is not a game designed for blind people, for screen readers. This is a mainstream game, and we want to put you, you know, they always talk about like putting people in these different situations that you wouldn't ordinarily be in, and they make the gameplay, you know, harder or unique in some way based on that. And I think that blindness is a perfectly valid thing. You know, play it via audio. You know, find it. You know, I'd love to see more games like that. Heck, it would be interesting to play any type of action game from the perspective of a deaf person. I think that would be fascinating. You know, playing some kind of an action game or just any kind of game where I take my hearing for granted, going through that same experience with being deaf or very hard of hearing, that could be really interesting. I would definitely look into playing something like that. So enough rambling about that, but that is something that I definitely wanted to address because there has been a couple games like that out there as of late. So that kind of wraps up Microsoft. Now we move into EA, and I promise this isn't going to take near as long because EA's conference was, I would say, for the most part, boring would be putting it nicely. I think I tweeted earlier, you can follow me on Twitter, cheap plug again, at BGFH79. I think one of my tweets said, I think some staff meetings have been more interesting than this. A friend of mine actually retweeted that. He thought that was really interesting. But, you know, EA's conference overall was really pretty bad. You know, a lot of companies lately, the last couple of years, have really gotten more on point. You know, a few years ago, you had these conferences, and they would focus on, like, they would start the conference, and they would do all these, like, sales numbers, and brag about how well they were doing, and just say other just nonsense stuff that just really slowed the presentation down and really was not interesting to listen to at all whatsoever. And a lot of games, or a lot of conferences seem to be getting better about that. EA, they just had some really bad pacing problems. A lot of what they showed, again, this is where, you know, I talked earlier about conceptual gameplay trailers. I mean, I understand that, like, there's some of them you're not going to be able to do it because the game is really early, but you want to tell something, you want to tell the audience that, yes, this exists, and you should look for it eventually. But a lot of what EA showed was just really early stuff. Hardly any gameplay for a lot of things. Now, they started their session pretty strongly. A new Mass Effect game. Heck yeah, I'm all about a new Mass Effect. Holiday 2016 game. Just kind of a little quick teaser for that. No problem whatsoever. That was great. Then the conference really kind of went downhill from there. So I'm only going to touch on a couple of things that, you know, if you really want to go back and see what else, you can, you know, look at that from other sites or other videos, but I'm just going to touch on a couple highlights to keep things moving, because like I said, I thought that a lot of EA press conferences were green.
Weapons!
One of the coolest things that I saw from there was a cool indie game. A guy from Sweden is making this game called Unravel. And you're basically playing this little, like, yarn dude. This little character of, like, yarn. It's like a puzzle platformer, but it looks, the art style looks really good. And just how the yarn kind of factors into some of the gameplay. Really good looking game, really interesting conceptually. They did show a little bit of gameplay concepts going on, like a little bit of, you know, what could be possibly gameplay footage. I think that was definitely the most charming game of the show so far. Just really kind of liked the art style, really liked what I saw of that game. Not sure exactly when it's going to come out. My guess would probably be next year. But, yeah, Unravel. That looks quite good. Get off me. Quite good, quite good. Like I said, I talked briefly about Mass Effect. Oh my god, I'm already down. This is ridiculous.
Thanks, brother. Man,
Hang on. Let me fix you up.
You guys look.
They didn't show it at the conference because another little thing that I'll talk about shortly went long and it was really boring. But there is a trailer out for Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which is a kind of a prequel, I think, to the original Mirror's Edge, and shows how Faith kind of got into the situation in the first game. That looked really good. And then Star Wars Battlefront. That was kind of their main attraction, so to speak. That was their finale. And it did look pretty good. I'm generally terrible at those types of games, but with the footage that I saw, if you like those types of, like, just really open level... And are you kidding me with the spitter? Good lord. If you like those kind of open levels with like just a whole bunch of dudes, you know, get in vehicles, you can get in TIE fighters, AT-ATs, ATSTs, all that kind of stuff. You can play as Darth Vader, I guess, or Jedi. Yeah, it looks generally pretty darn good. I don't know if I would get into it, but I could definitely see where if you like that kind of game and you're really into it, I would really suggest looking into it, because that looks pretty darn good. They did talk about some
Elevators here.
Like a Star Wars collectible card game they're going to be coming out with. Seems like every conference today had some kind of a card game. Excuse me. Again, not really thrilled about that, but whatever.
One day it's all
they had
just
a lot of sports stuff. They did stuff
I'll
for
see peace
hockey,
back on Earth if I gotta
basketball,
murder every
soccer,
one of these bastards with my
football,
bare
all that
goddamn
kind of
hands.
stuff. So,
Damn
again,
straight.
I'm not saying those games are necessarily bad, but I thought they didn't show much gameplay footage. A lot of it was just really bad, really boring, I thought.
Cover me.
So, if you want to look more into that, and if you're interested in those games, you can definitely check out more information on them, but I'm not really going to spend much time on them. So then we go to Ubisoft. This one was actually pretty entertaining as well, and they showed a lot of different stuff. So,
We need to find roof.
alright, let me look at my phone here again. Oh yeah, so they started out with something I totally didn't see coming. I really didn't think they would. But yes, guys, we are getting a new South Park RPG. We're getting a sequel to South Park: The Stick of Truth. And wow. It looks pretty good. I mean, they didn't show any real gameplay, but they showed a trailer, and it was funny as expected. It's called South Park: The Fractured Butthole. Take of that what you will. They're not playing as the different characters that they were this time. Now they're playing as like the whole superhero kind of thing instead of the wizards and stuff that they were doing last time. So basically you're going to get a chance to use like different character classes and different things like that. Not sure when the game is coming out, but I'm sure it's going to be at least 2016 where that's going to happen. But you know what? South Park actually got me to play through a turn-based RPG not once, but twice. I actually played it first because just to see how it was, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to play through this again, and I'm going to do a let's play for it. So, you know, that could be something that maybe could come in the future too. But South Park, the fractured butthole. I just laugh every time I say that. So that was a pretty interesting start to the show. They showed Rainbow Six Siege, which is coming out later this year. You know, they showed a couple different things for that. You know, you have your traditional multiplayer stuff that you're going to play, where you're terrorists and counter-terrorists, or whatever you want to call the different modes. But, oh god, not again. Are you really seriously kidding me? So that looked good, but then there's actually a co-op mode, which I think that looks more interesting even than the multiplayer stuff. So you know, they're doing this cooperative mode, and that looks quite good. Now, when they also announced that basically you're going to get the original Xbox 360 Rainbow Six games for free if you buy Rainbow Six Siege. So if you want to get your Rainbow Six on, you definitely get a lot of that. So there was that. Let's see, what else do we have? The Division, this is a game that's also been at E3, I don't know, like the last 2 or 3 years at least. And yeah, still don't know exactly what the game is going to be like, but it's kind of like this tactical third-person action-y game, I think. And it seems like you are doing a job with a group of people, and you can kind of, you get this thing where you work together, but then you can actually like turn on each other and get the rewards, or, you know, that could backfire. You turn on somebody and then they pop you because you turned on them, you know. So it really depends on how things go, but I'm not really going to talk too much about that. I mean, what I saw looked interesting, but I think it's, at the earliest, it's next year, so it's still a ways off. I'm not really going to comment on that much more than to say it definitely has potential, and it's something that I do want to kind of keep an eye on. Again, I'm not sure if it's going to be one of those games that I'm going to be absolutely terrible at, so it might be one of those that I maybe watch more than actually play, but The Division was there, and it looked not too shabby. For Honor. Now, For Honor is a game that is a new announcement, and that looked really interesting. It seemed like this like big battle, big medieval battles with actual, you get into like a one-on-one fight with somebody, and then it's really tactical sword play, so like you can position your sword. We were just going by the footage that I just going by the footage that I saw, but it looked like, you know, it's really, once you get into a duel with somebody, it's really more tactical. And again, that's a really early one, so we're probably not going to see that for quite some time. But I was definitely intrigued. You know, I don't know if it's going to be a lot more simulation-y or a lot more complicated than something like Chivalry. People maybe compare it to Mountain Blade, which is a PC medieval series that kind of has some of that aspects of it. So there was that. Trials Fusion had an add-on that just, they didn't show really any gameplay, but they just did this little teaser trailer that looked ridiculous. Apparently there's a unicorn that breathes fire, and there's a cat riding it, and you control that, I guess? I'm not making that up. I couldn't even think to make that up, so yeah. There's an expansion for, or some add-on that's coming around for Trials Fusion that is going to be adding that. Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be interesting. Assassin's Creed, the new one of those is coming out. Again, I'm not really going to spend time on that just because, like, I think a lot of people are getting franchise fatigue with that. You know, they're doing like an annual game every year. I played the first one, thought it was really repetitive, and I just didn't really like it, got bored with it. People say that Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood are actually really good, and beyond there is where, after that, people really started losing interest in the games. I own 2 and Brotherhood on the PC, and I should check them out here eventually. Maybe one of these days I'll get around to it. But yeah, Assassin's Creed, the new one of that is coming out this fall.
Help is on the way!
What else do we got here? Trackmania Turbo. I did cover a little bit of Trackmania on the channel. There's going to be a new for consoles and PC later this year. A new Trackmania game. I'm all for that. Those are really enjoyable. I like kind of challenging people in multiplayer, just trying to survive, get through some of these levels. You know, they're like these crazy obstacle course roller coasters. Really, I've enjoyed a lot of the Trackmania United, Trackmania United Forever. I think there's like 1 or 2, Trackmania 2, which I haven't even played yet. I can't remember if I got that yet on a Steam sale, or if I haven't purchased that yet. I should look in my library, because I wouldn't mind Trackmania again. I should actually really look into that, shouldn't I? So we had a Trackmania. Ghost Recon Wildlands. That is a new one as well. Ghost Recon has been... last one of those has been several years ago, I think. Or no, they had Future Soldier, which I didn't play. People said it was kind of bad. I like the idea of Ghost Recon, but again, it's one of those, like, you know, shooter games that you really have to be good at more, like, simulation. Not, you know, you take a lot of damage, so again, I run into that problem of, oh, I don't see where I'm getting shot from. Wait, where are you shooting me from? Oh, guess what? I'm dead. So there's a lot of that. If you like those kind of games again, though, that's going to be coming out in the next year or two, so that's something to look forward to. They did this cheesy Just Dance thing, which I really could care less about. There's a subscription coming out next year for that. There's a new title coming out for Just Dance. If you're really into that, you can go there. I might be missing a game or two. Ubisoft. What else did they show? I mean, their presentation was just weird. Like, it was... I don't really know what I would call it. It was like... It was just a lot crazier. Like, the guy that did the For Honor thing, he came out and he's like talking all like, yeah, we're gonna be all pumped, and just the way he presented was kind of amusing but really cheesy. And you know what? I think that's pretty much. I may have missed a couple things here and there, but honestly, that covers the first 3 conferences of the day. So as I'm failing miserably here, I am going to probably stop the video, come back after I watch the Sony thing, maybe load up another quick campaign. That will be much shorter because there'll just be one conference to cover. But those are some of my thoughts and what they talked about in the first 3 conferences. I thought Microsoft had a pretty solid show. There are definitely getting to be enough games where I kind of want an Xbox One. A lot of the collection stuff. There's getting to be some action games coming out that I want to play. Crackdown is on the way, even though they haven't really showed it yet. But I know there's some good stuff there. The backwards compatibility is going to help, because I have one of the Xbox 360s that doesn't even have the HDMI. I have an old school component model that's broken like 3-4 times, and I had to send it in. But it works now, again. But yeah, so that's a possibility. EA was, except for a couple minor little things here and there, was really underwhelming, really boring. Did not enjoy that much at all. Ubisoft was a little bit on the weird side at times, but a new South Park, some good action games, some pretty solid looking stuff. So I think they had a pretty decent show as well. So, you know what? as I'm getting mobbed by this horde of zombies here, I'm going to wrap it up here, and I will talk to you guys shortly. I will start the rest of this video to wrap up Monday's press conferences with Sony. Hello again, welcome back to Illegally Cited. I am back. The Sony E3 press conference is over, and wow, you know, I had thought this was going to be a pretty darn short video. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible because we're appending it to already a pretty long video already covering the rest of the day's events, but man, oh man, I didn't know what to expect from Sony, to be honest with you, and in some ways they absolutely killed it, and in other ways, not sure. However, what we are looking at right here is we are looking at the Shenmue 3 Kickstarter page. Yes, we are looking at the Shenmue 3 Kickstarter page. So, I will get that announcement out of the way first. In the middle of Sony's press conference, which was just filled with, I heard somebody online refer to it as just like a nerd or fanboy, like fan fiction. I mean, this is just how crazy some of their announcements were. But in the middle of the conference, they announced Shenmue 3 kind of unofficially. So basically, I think what's going to happen is, so they had Yu Suzuki come out on the stage briefly. They showed a little teaser, kind of teaser video. And rather than Sony saying, yep, it's coming to PS4, you know, we're funding it, boom, let's go, they went to Kickstarter with a $2 million funding goal, and they are funding it or choosing it that way because they want to, basically they want to see how much interest is people have for Shenmue 3. I've seen already people complaining, well, if Sony announced it on their press conference, why didn't they just fund the thing and be done with it? You know, it kind of makes sense because this is kind of a niche game. It's been out. It's been a long time. I think 2001 was the Xbox version of Shenmue 2. And, yeah, it's been a while. You know, there's a diehard fan base that really wants it. I'm one of them that would really love to see Shenmue 3 come out. But it makes sense. I mean, if you think that a full, you know, AAA developed Shenmue 3 can be funded in $2 million, you're absolutely crazy. This is basically just to say, hey, is there enough interest? And if so, we will definitely work on this. And their ETA, or estimated goal for this project, is end of 2017. So it's a couple years away, which is fine. You know, that's kind of to be expected with a game. I don't know how much or what work they've done on it. It seems like they've done some playing around with it a little bit. But, yeah, so after Sony's press conference, I did choose to, yes, I funded the project, and totally did that right away, because this is a game, I think I may have talked about it on the channel before, but this is a game that I've been wanting forever, especially with their nice cliffhanger ending for Shenmue 2. Now, what I'd really love to see is if, like, I got to look and see what their stretch goals are again, but, you know, what would be really great is if they hit a stretch goal and says, oh, yeah, by the way, you know, we're not necessarily going to super remaster them or anything, but just bring out Shenmue 1 and 2 so that people can catch up to the story. Now, the other nice thing is this isn't just PS4. This is PS4 and PC. So, you guessed it, when this sucker comes out, we are definitely playing some Shenmue on Illegally Cited. Low Vision Spotlight at the very least, quite possibly a Let's Play, but we'll see. That's quite a ways off if it gets funded, but it's looking pretty good so far. So, Shenmue 3. I just had to get that out of the way because that's what I got really excited about. So, Sony's press conference. What did they do? Well, they started out with something that people keep saying they're going to see it. You know, it's kind of almost become this E3 joke because the game's been in development for so long. But they did actually show new gameplay footage of The Last Guardian. Yes, The Last Guardian supposedly is now coming out in 2016. They didn't say a month or a time frame, but they said 2016. So if I had to guess, I would highly suspect that this is going to be a holiday 2016 title if it doesn't get pushed back yet again, which I hope it doesn't, because the people that are really looking forward to that game have already been driven crazy long enough, and I just want to hear this madness end. So they did show some gameplay. I mean, the art style looks really good. I like the art style a lot. The gameplay that they showed was kind of, I don't know if I want to say uneventful, but it really wasn't super exciting. I mean, granted, this was a very short, gameplay demo, really just kind of meant to show off that, yes, the game is in development and we've made some progress and stuff. But there really wasn't a whole lot of gameplay other than just kind of like walking around, doing a couple little things here and there. But The Last Guardian, hopefully people will get their wish, and you'll see it next year. Then, there's a new game called Horizon. Now, this game looks really interesting. I'd love to see this come to PC and other platforms too, because I don't own a PS4 yet. This was some kind of like, I'm guessing open world. I don't know if it's open world or if it's like super like large level base, but you got this like this action game where you're fighting like these robot dinosaurs, like this third person thing where you're like, there's like, I don't know what is going on, but there's this chick and she was fighting these robot dinosaurs, and there's this ginormous one that she's doing all kinds of crazy stuff to try to bring it down. That actually I like the art style. The graphics looked really good. She was a pretty chatty already. It looked like there was a nice vertical slice. Seemed pretty well polished already, at least for that section. But yeah, that one looks really interesting. Definitely something to keep an eye on. I really liked where that was started to go. They didn't show any real gameplay, just kind of interesting looking trailer, but there is a new Hitman game also, just simply called Hitman. So I don't know if this is just like a retelling of the first game or if they're just rebooting the franchise. I don't know. The Hitman games is, I tried the first one or two, and back then they were really janky. Like, you had to be very specific as far as like what you wanted to do, what you had to do. Otherwise the mission would just end. I mean, there wasn't really a lot of flexibility. I do want to, however, get into like Hitman Absolution, I think is the latest one. I have all of them. I got like the Hitman collection through Steam on a dirt cheap sale a while back. But the last one or two games, they seem a little bit more open. So like, like I said, stealth games I hate, or any game for that matter. I hate the insta-fail kind of thing, especially in stealth. Oh, they seen me, start over. I like the open-endedness of like, oh, you got seen, now try to figure out how to get out of it. Can you get back into hiding again? Or, do you have to approach this a completely different way? So hopefully they continue down that route and give you a little flexibility. But having liked some of the recent Splinter Cell games, I should really, really give that Hitman Absolution a try, because that one seems like it might just be pretty interesting. I don't know if they gave a release date for Hitman, but I would say at the very earliest next year. They showed a little teaser for Street Fighter V with some kind of early footage, and a lot of people are really psyched for that. It looked good. I'm not good at Street Fighter. I'm not really good at fighting games in general. I'm kind of more of a Mortal Kombat guy myself. But here's the thing. Even if I was really excited for Street Fighter V, I probably wouldn't get it right away, because Capcom has this really a tendency, especially in the Street Fighter franchise. They will milk a single entry in that series forever. So if I was going to pick up Street Fighter V, which is exclusive to Sony and the PC, interestingly enough, I would wait for the Super Ultra Mega Street Fighter V Super HD Championship Edition DX Plus, or whatever the hell they're going to name it, like after the 15th iteration. It's just the way they do. I mean, you go back to Street Fighter 2. I don't know how many there's, like, I don't know, Street Fighter 2, then there was Turbo, then there was Super Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and I think there was an EX in there somewhere, and I don't even know. Street Fighter 4 had so many iterations that I just stopped caring. So I figure in about, 5-6 years, I figure there'll be a version of Street Fighter 5 out that will be actually worth buying because they've iterated on it so much, and maybe they'll be done milking that particular version by then. So good news, but that's just kind of with the cynical side of me going, yeah, they release way too many of these things. No Man's Sky. They did do an actual gameplay demo of that. And I'm not sure what to make of this. It looks really interesting. It's basically, a large part of it is like you are in a ship, and there are galaxies and solar systems, and there are just almost seemingly infinite amount of these generated planets that you can go to. You can fly around. There are like factions or whatever that you'll meet. You can choose to take sides and do space battles. Any of the planets, you can go down and look for things of interest. Maybe there are life forms there. Maybe there are minerals. Maybe there are like ruins or something. God only knows what you'll find there. If you find an unnamed planet, you can basically claim it as yours. So like, because there's so many that it's like, that's the way they're looking at it. But they showed a little bit of spaceship flying stuff. They showed a little bit of light speed. And then they showed a little bit of you walking around a planet. Like you can kind of destroy, or you can kind of like mine the planet or whatever. If you can encounter life forms, you can scan them and upload information, collect information and stuff. Beyond that, I don't know what else you're going to be able to do. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there'll be a lot of a lot of fighting when you go down to planets, or if you don't want to fight. I could see it as kind of just a nice relaxing, like, I'm going to go explore the galaxy for a little while, maybe peruse a few planets and see what's going on, see what kind of interesting creatures or life forms or space things I run into. So that is going to also be probably a ways off, but that is No Man's Sky. The makers of Little Big Planet. This game, I don't know what the heck to think of. It's called Dreams, and I guess you use the DualShock 4 to, like, you create these, I don't know, man. You create these dreams, I guess. Like, you can make characters or scenes, or I don't even know what you would call, like, you'll just have to watch the video online. Right now it's really abstract. I don't really quite understand how it works. But then once you're playing, you're playing through all these people's dreams that they've created, and they just kind of seamlessly link you through them somehow. I don't know if they're random or if you choose a set, or I don't know. They just showed a little bit of kind of footage, and I mean, it looks cool, really artistic. Beyond that, like as far as like the gameplay goes, I don't really know. It's kind of interesting though. That of course is also going to be a ways off. So that is Dreams. Firewatch. They did a short demo of this, and again, this is another one that, despite having a little bit of gameplay, I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen there. It seems to be like a first-person exploration, story-based game where, like, you're on this radio walkie-talkie with this other person, and you're trying to solve a mystery of some kind, I guess. I don't know if you're, like, on an island or something, but I like the art style. Looked really kind of cool. So that was kind of interesting, but that's all I really know about that. So that's a ways off, I'm sure. Destiny expansion. I have yet to play Destiny. I've thought about getting Origin and then giving it a shot, but I just haven't done that yet. Maybe I'll get around to that one of these days. Maybe there'll be like an Ultimate Collection here in the next year or so, and I can just swoop it all up in one point. So we'll see there. So, we've talked about Last Guardian, we've talked about Shenmue 2, all these things that people just went, holy crap. Like, these are things that people just talk about every E3, and it never happens, and they're happening. Well, the other thing that apparently is happening, not sure when it's coming out, but probably not this year. Yeah, they're doing a Final Fantasy VII remake. They showed a little bit of teaser footage, trailer kind of thing. Now, you know my general opinions on turn-based RPGs. I've never really gotten into the Final Fantasy titles. I appreciate them for what they are. The stories might be kind of neat, but for the most part, the gameplay, like, doing that for like 80 hours, I just can't do menus for 80 hours, South Park was a little bit different. It was like an RPG light, and it was kind of a shorter game. It wasn't super long as far as like traditional RPG terms go. So, I can do that. And I'm still looking forward to, yes, the new South Park game that I talked about earlier this video. That should be great. But yes, a Final Fantasy remake is coming, so people can stop wishing for it. It's going to happen, and yeah, there you go. I know a lot of people are going to be happy about that one. Shenmue 3. They spent a little bit of time on Morpheus, not as much as I would have thought, actually. That was surprising, because with everyone else talking about like an early next year release for potentially the Oculus Rift and maybe the Steam VR or the Valve VR thingy that they're going to do, I would have... Sony still kind of really seems to be in the really early stages of, like, is this viable? Do we know what kind of content we want to make for it? Do we know how well it's going to work? All that kind of stuff. They showed a few very short conceptual things. I really didn't know what was going on in any of the games, so I'm just going to kind of gloss over that right now, because that's pretty much what they did in the conference. They mentioned it, but that's about it. It was a pretty short demo. They did do a couple of little indie game little trailer things, or of like, showing a whole bunch of little indie games in one little trailer. Some of those look pretty solid. I think I recognize a couple of them from other platforms. But they're getting a lot of third-party support, which is good, both on the AAA front and on the indie game front. They didn't really mention Vita at all. I don't think the word Vita was mentioned at all, period. That said, some of these indie games especially are going to be coming to the... I take that back. I think they did mention the Vita. I forget what game it was. There was a game that was coming to PlayStation 4 and the Vita. I think that was just a new Final Fantasy. Not the 7, but there was another, like, cartoony Final Fantasy game that I can't remember the name of at the moment. World of Final Fantasy, which is kind of a weird name. That's kind of why I didn't remember it. It was sort of weird. But don't know what that game is going to be, other than it has this like kind of really cartoony art style to it, and they're almost like these little cutesy, or what they call chibi characters in Japan. So they showed a little bit of footage of that. So that's going to be a Vita and PS4 thing. But other than that, they really didn't mention Vita. Some of these other indie games are going to be coming to Vita. So it's kind of going to be like one of these, like, I don't really think a lot of new original stuff is going to come out for it. But you'll see a lot of things that come to Steam and other platforms, especially like a lot of the indie stuff. If you want to have a portable version of that, the Vita might not be a bad way to go for that. They did show a little bit of Call of Duty Black Ops 3, and they are potentially doing, I think, some Morpheus stuff with that, but I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work. But they did show some Black Ops footage, which was okay. I mean, the game looked good. If you're a Call of Duty fan, you're probably going to want to pick this one up. It looks pretty decent. I haven't really played the Call of Duty games since Modern Warfare 2. I don't even think I played 3. After that, I kind of just fell off. Modern Warfare was amazing. 2 was alright, and then I just kind of, fell off of it from there. But, you know, more of that if you want it. Next week, you got Batman, was it Arkham, not Origins, I can't even remember what the new Batman game is called. But the new Batman game is coming out, which I know people have a lot of mixed feelings on. Some people think it looks really cool. Some people think it looks a little, not really what a Batman game should be, but we'll see very soon. Star Wars and Disney Infinity, they did announce that. They did a little bit with Battlefront, so, you know, if you're into the whole collecting figures thing, and you want to play this Disney Infinity version 3.0, they're having an exclusive Sony package for that, that is going to come out later this year, and you're going to get some exclusive stuff. You're going to get some content a little bit earlier compared to other platforms, and there you go. Of course, you got your Star Wars Battlefront that'll be coming out also later this year. And you know what? I think that's largely it. So as far as crazy unannounced stuff goes, Sony like hit it out of the park. They nailed some crazy stuff that I really didn't think was ever going to be announced, or at least announced this year or whatever. You know, they kind of just seem like these pipe dreams, like, yeah, maybe eventually they'll get desperate and somebody will just out of the blue decide to do something about it. But you know, the whole Last Guardian thing, the Final Fantasy VII thing, people are just losing their minds over that. Admittedly, I got pretty damn hyped for Shenmue 3 as a possibility, and just as I started here, I think we were in the 700s when we started this video, maybe low 800s, 800,000. We're already up to 926,000. Never mind, it just moved again. So I think that it's pretty safe to say this game is going to meet its goal. If it keeps up at remotely this pace, by the time I wake up tomorrow morning, I wouldn't be surprised if this game is funded. So, you know, then here comes the stretch goals. So let's see those happen too. I want to look at those because I do want to see, like I said, if maybe one of those is a Shenmue 1 and 2 like remastered, or even just a port so you can play it on the PC and the PS4 as modern systems. Just so, because like I said, if you're starting with Shenmue 3, you're like, what the hell's going on in this game? It was funny because right before E3, I tried to shoot a video, a couple of them actually, and I might still go back and try to do a little bit of, show you some of the origins of it. But I can't record console stuff, but along with the original Xbox version of Shenmue 2, there was a DVD basically a DVD movie that went through the events of Shenmue 1, the first game. And I was going to do a little bit of talking over a bit of that for you guys, just so you could see a little bit of the footage of what Shenmue was. I could kind of, you know, talk about it, because like I said, especially the first game, I played the hell out of that thing. And, you know, it was kind of a pre-E3 thing that I was trying to do, but my video software kept crashing, and so I didn't get the video recorded. But it was kind of, you know, that was one of my little pipe dream things of like, maybe this year will be the time they announce Shenmue 3. Maybe. Yeah, right. Maybe. But here we are. You know, it's going through Kickstarter, but I'm very pleased to say that looks like we're going to get halfway there in very little time. You know, it is, what time is it? 10:21 right now, Monday night. And I think they probably made the announcement at like 9 o'clock, 9:30 at the latest. So, yeah, this thing's cruising right along. So, tomorrow, I'm not going to probably record videos for the rest of E3 as far as like the actual show floor days, because obviously I'm not there. I can't cover those types of things. But we do have 3 more events to cover tomorrow. We have Nintendo right away in the morning, and then shortly after that we have Square, which there may be some cool stuff there. We may see some Deus Ex and stuff like that. That would be something I'm looking forward to, and who knows what else. Maybe that, you know. And then I won't be able to upload at least until late tomorrow night, but probably the night after, probably Wednesday sometime, because, you know, I don't have Wednesday off. Unfortunately, I got to go back to work and, you know, collect my paycheck again, you know, earn my paycheck again. So by the time that there's a PC event that starts, I want to say at 7 or 8 o'clock at my time. So depending on how long that goes, and I have to really try to wind down and go to bed at a reasonable time so I can actually get up on Wednesday, I'm probably not going to be able to get tomorrow's video up for you guys until Wednesday. So it'll kind of be like one of those regular Wednesday-ish videos when I'm doing those. So there will be one more E3 video hopefully for you. I'm going to stop this one here. It has been a pretty crazy day. There's been a lot of stuff going on. You know, Microsoft was a pretty strong start. EA was a couple things interesting. You know, Mass Effect is always great. A couple other cool things there. But I would say EA was definitely the weakest so far, by far. Ubisoft was just weird and crazy, but they did have some pretty good announcements to back it up. And Sony had a lot of pretty kind of cool things, a lot of wow factor to it. A lot of surprises that we really weren't expecting. The one concern that I would say about Sony is that they really didn't solve the problem for this year, because aside from a very few items, everything is at the very least next year. You know, Call of Duty, God, I can't even think. I'm trying to think of what else there was that would come out this year. I know there's got to be 1 or 2 other things that they showed. I think Uncharted 4, they did show another gameplay. They wrapped up, of course, with that as their finale, which I was pretty sure that they would. You got the Uncharted collection coming out later this year of 1, 2, and 3, so that is coming. But a large part of the Sony fan base has already played those games on the PS3. So I don't know if that's really going to be enough to really go get them to rebuy all the games again, even though they might look or run a little bit better. You know, actually Uncharted 4, I think that actually got delayed until early next year. So again, what does really Sony have for first party or, you know, really big blockbuster support? You know, Microsoft has definitely got Halo 5. They got a Forza. I know they've got a couple other games that are coming out this year, but they were doing fairly okay. Sony, I mean, they've got some great stuff coming out down the pipe, but it's going to be a while. And so this year, I don't know, it still might be a little light. But, you know, I guess we'll see how things go. But yeah, that is the events for today. Tomorrow we've got Nintendo, Square, and then the PC event in the evening. So, not quite done yet. There still could be some announcements. The only thing that would make this year just absolutely even crazier, you know, we had a really strong start with Nintendo. We're probably getting a couple surprises there tomorrow too. But their World Championship was a really pleasant surprise. Mario Maker looked insane. Solid, like I said, solid thing from Microsoft, but a lot of surprises like this, The Last Guardian, Shenmue, and Final Fantasy from Sony. The only thing that would make this couple days just absolutely crazier would be on the PC event if Gabe Newell just came out and went, oh yeah, by the way, Half-Life 3, boom, done. If Half-Life 3 was announced, this year would just be one of the craziest, I think, ever, because just of things that, you know, not just that things weren't unannounced, but things that people would hope for, but just really realistically would not be expecting. So, God only knows. I can really hope for a Half-Life 3. Bring it on. I do have some videos coming up that I'm going to upload here eventually for Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2 in different variations, so look forward to that. Plenty of more videos coming after E3, so no worries there. But we're going to wrap it up here. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79. Like and subscribe. Glad to see we're getting more. And I hope you guys are finding at least my thoughts on these E3 videos and stuff interesting. And until next time, I will talk to you guys again later.